Trump, being Trump again, comes on Wednesday night and says that they are going to put a hold on these tariffs for 90 freaking days.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, there is such a huge rally that happens in Nasdaq, S&P 500.
When such huge gap ups and gap downs happen on both the sides is when positional option sellers who carry overnight positions get hit a lot. 7th April, I have SIPs pending for all these funds. And I'll just go to my dashboard also, where it shows that on 7th April,
Bunch of people got to know that US market is going to rally intraday.
coal volume started spiking 10 minutes even before Trump's announcement.
Correct.
Something's definitely happening, right?
Elon Musk, Trump's very special friend, pressurizing Trump to remove the tariffs. Truth of it is, there is still a lot of uncertainty. Even though the market has fallen, it has recovered. Maybe even tomorrow it will recover. No solid, concrete evidence saying that everything is fine. Definitely one of the most craziest market movements in the last multiple years. Monday, things going crazy. And then tomorrow or Friday when this airs, I think the market is going a different direction. So overall, I think bears getting killed in the market, bulls getting killed in the market, a very, very tough week indeed.
Yeah, there was a term that got very famous in 2024, if I remember. It was called as the chop chop market. And I feel like the actual chop chop is happening to both the buyers as well as the sellers.
Yeah.
You know?
And just for perspective, the difference from our last podcast to today is that Donald Trump has come out with a pause on his tariffs that he announced last week. A 90-day pause on most countries. He's just going to keep a minimum. We'll get to all of that. And this causing the US markets to shoot up like crazy. S&P 500 up by more than 10%.
Nasdaq is up 12% just within a day.
Yeah.
And what a week, right? I mean, over multiple days, we are seeing intraday movements of 5, 6, 8, even up to 12%.
Yeah.
And these are stuff that we've never seen in the market. So absolutely crazy week is what we saw.
Yeah, even
saw
on
this
Twitter,
time.
I'm seeing tweets like, guys, think this is like a actual proper large cap index that is moving like a
Yeah.
micro cap. So
Yeah.
that is what is the narration moving
No,
around.
they're putting Nasdaq and
Yeah.
with this 12% movement and
Yeah.
saying, hey, it is not a meme coin, but it is the one of the largest index of the largest countries in the world.
Correct,
Crazy
yeah.
stuff.
Yes. So let's get started with the official 21st episode of the Aftermarket podcast. We'll give some context. What actually happened in the market, the timeline of events, which is very important and very, very interesting, right? Fun-filled and craziness-filled timeline of events.
Yeah,
Then-
it is that kind of a week where people cannot even blink their eye. They
Yeah.
blink their eye and something else has happened.
Yeah.
Trump has announced something or
Yeah.
China announced something and the markets are up. They blink an eye and the markets are down 3%. So it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Then we'll get into what we did as investors. Did we make any investments? We'll reveal that. And then we'll get into the trading part of it, how we manage our trades. Because a lot of people had a very difficult last 2 weeks. Yes, some people did make money, but then some people had it very difficult. So what happened to Sharik, Ajay and Nihal? Did we make a lot of profits, a lot of losses, or was it a overall okay week? We'll talk about that. And towards the end, I'm sure we'll have to discuss about a lot of conspiracy theories behind all of what is happening. We'll discuss about that and get into the future of what the market holds. I think that's going to be the structure of the show today. So let me introduce the host for the show today. My name is Ajay Ajit. This is Nihal Bandapalli.
Hi.
And this is Sharik Shamsin, CEO and co-founder of MarketFeed.
Hi. So, before getting in, I really want to talk about this. A lot of dear friends from the ecosystem, other traders, reached out knowing that we are positional option sellers, asking, hey, how are you doing? Are things okay given the gap down opening on Monday and then the huge gap up openings which are also happening? So, there were people from the ecosystem and industry who reached out. And because the fact that when such huge gap ups and gap downs happen on both the sides is when positional option sellers who carry overnight positions get hit a lot. Something called value at risk getting hit is when such things happen, and like very happy and relieved at this moment of time where we could navigate such difficult situations in the market nicely. So happy to come out making profits in the week. So really happy. And also I want to put out to all the well-wishers who thought about us and reached out to us. So really happy there.
I mean, that's nice to see, trading community coming together. If it is a hard time, them coming together and making sure each other are fine.
Yeah. Anyways, let's get into the crux of the matter. I think it's super important to understand the timeline of events here, given that everything is slightly messed up. A lot of tariffs and reciprocal tariffs and retaliation from some countries. So let's just put things into perspective here. So last Wednesday, April 2nd, is when everything started, when Trump came out with the very famous board and announced reciprocal tariffs. It was a major event, but it happened post US markets closed. So
Yeah.
when on Thursday, when we opened our markets, hey, we had to look into see to what exactly is happening in our markets. But hey, Nifty did not react much to that.
And a lot of interesting things happened around Wednesday. So people knew that the Trump tariff announcement was going to come. So a lot of Indian traders I saw on Twitter or X that they were going to take a long straddles, expecting a lot of volatility in the market. And they were right. The tariff announcement was a huge event.
Yeah.
The markets crashed. But not on Thursday. It crashed on Friday. So because the US markets reacted only Thursday night for us, the Indian market fall only came on Friday. So I'm sure it was tricky for a lot of traders.
Correct. But again, what we saw on Friday was just the beginning of something that people did not understand. When US fell nearly 5% on Thursday, Nifty fell nearly 1.5% on Friday. But then the real stuff happened over the weekend when by Friday night, China came out and said that, hey, if you're implementing a tariff on me, we'll also get back a tariff. So when China announced their tariff on US is when the entire tariff thing started turning into a trade war as the world was scaring off. And when that happened, US fell further, and overnight there was a lot of worry, and that all led to Nifty opening with one of its largest gap down opening that we have seen in the recent past.
Yeah, Asian markets were hugely down. I think Japan was down 7%, China was down 7%. Nifty pre-market open was crazy, right? I think it was more than 5% at some point, but it settled at 5% and it even went back up. So on Monday, things were cool, ended at a healthy 3.3% correction, and things started getting interesting on Tuesday and Wednesday because people thought, hey, okay, something more is going to come. Market is going to fall further, but Nifty did not move.
And then Trump, being Trump again, comes on Wednesday night and says that they are going to put a hold on these tariffs for 90 freaking days.
Yeah,
And
something super dramatic.
very
Yeah.
dramatic. And all of a sudden, there is such a huge rally that happens in Nasdaq, S&P 500, and all the major indices that US
Intraday
has
for them.
intraday, and they were like moving 9%, 10%. I think Nasdaq closed at 12% up that day. That was like such a huge rally. And like what we were addressing in the beginning also, it is not a meme coin, or it is just not some random small micro cap. It's like a biggest index moving 12% that day.
Nirmala Sitharaman kind of moment for US markets is
Yeah,
also how
yeah.
some people are putting it, because that's the kind of move which happened there. And there are people on Twitter also saying, hey, what if such moves, I mean,
Yeah.
again, Nirmala Sitharaman candle is an understatement because this is 10% within 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So what if such moves are happening in the Indian markets on an expiry day when we are short on options? I mean, people can't even think about
It
that.
would
But
be
that's
very
the kind
scary.
of craziness which happened in the US, all being attributed to the kind of drama
Yeah.
that Trump is bringing on the table.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'll try to explain what was the actual announcement. So Trump came out of nowhere. Again, the previous week, 2nd April announcement was very planned. Everyone knew
Yeah.
that such a press conference was going to happen. They knew tariffs were going to come, but they didn't know what scale it was, right? So this Wednesday,
Yeah.
exactly 1 week later,
Yeah.
Trump came out of nowhere and announced a 90-day tariff freeze. That
Yeah.
means whatever announcement he made last week, except for countries like China, Mexico, and Canada,
Yeah.
he said that, hey, we are going back. No more tariffs on you, just a minimal amount of 10%. And everyone started enjoying it.
The base tariff still existed, but that was like a relief news, and markets rallied. So along with actual US markets, there was also Japan market that shot up 8-9%, and then there was Korean markets also 5-6% up, and overall the global markets saw some positivity. But again, unfortunately, our markets were closed, so our markets are yet to react.
Yeah, I think the only point here to discuss further is that China-US trade war or tariff war is still ongoing.
Yeah.
So as of right now, I think the number is 125%.
Yeah, I think now China is also retaliating, saying that we'll again going to increase furthermore and reduce our exports.
It's like a back and forth. It
Yeah.
didn't start there. I think it started at some 30-40%, then increased to 50-80, now 100, then 125%. So imagine you're importing a iPhone from China to the US and the cost of that iPhone is 50,000 rupees, a landing cost. Now you'll have to pay more than 60,000, 65,000 rupees in taxes to the US government
Yeah.
in order to bring that 50,000 iPhone, making the effective cost more than 1.1 lakh rupees.
Correct.
Just giving an example.
But again, I still have my sympathy and my condolences to all the short sellers who were having a lot of short positions, right? Because on till Wednesday night, when Trump did not come on announce this 90-day pause, everybody were bearish. Whole global markets were bearish. Everyone I spoke to, or even you guys also would have been seeing around media, everybody were bearish, and lot of call sellers were there. And all of a sudden, if this happens, with such a huge gap up, or the markets rallying continuously, I am sure so many traders would have been in a lot of trouble. And I have my heart to all the Indian traders also who would have had shorted our markets.
I mean, the gap up that we are going to see on Friday in the Indian markets, that's going to be pretty significant. I know this video is being shot on a Thursday. I think that's where we will also get into a lot of conspiracies, a lot of very crucial facts about market manipulation and whatnot in the US market. But before all of that, let's quickly get into what we all did in the market crash, right? And let's start with the investing angle. Personally, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't capitalize on it. I liquidated my gilt funds in my account. But then by the time that fund touched my account and I decided, hey, now I'm going to invest back, tomorrow the market is going to rally. So it looks like I lost a bit of the fall.
And unfortunately, the same thing happened to me. On Monday, there was a huge gap down of 5%. And it was like that sweet spot where I previously also added some of my lump sum investment. So I thought I'll add some more funds. But then there was a quarterly settlement that happened. The funds moved back to the account. Then I couldn't add back. And, I missed out the opportunity. But yeah, I mean, now look at market is already up 3%, and probably by tomorrow morning it will be another 2-3% up. I missed that as well.
Yeah, but I ended up doing a lot during the market fall. A few of that can be attributed to luck. Some luck element is there, but then I also timed a few of my investment during the crash. But last time when we did a video around this, what did we do during the fall? There were comments saying that, hey, whenever you talk about stuff that you actually did
Try
in the
to show
market,
it.
back it up with whatever you did. Show it on
Yeah, try
screen if
to show it
possible.
on the
So I
screen.
have my laptop here today. So I'll probably try to go into the screens and try to show what I exactly did during the last just 2-3 days.
Yeah.
We're just talking about Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Only 3 days market were open during all these craziness, right? So the lucky thing which happened is the fact that one of my monthly SIPs planned just happened on Monday. It normally happens on the 5th of every month,
Yeah.
but 5th was Saturday, so market was closed. So same thing happened on Monday, which is on the 7th. So yeah, I just luckily turned out that one of my SIPs happened on the same day. But I believe with a lot of people also that could have happened.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. So I'll just take you through that. So what you see here is the reminder which came out on 5th of April saying that on 7th April, I have SIPs pending for all these funds, and it happened for all these funds on 7th. I'll just go to my dashboard also, where it shows that on 7th April, this SIP happened. This is just one of the funds. It happened in multiple funds. Then when it happened on Monday, then market was slightly recovering. And as Nihal said, market is down by 5%.
Yeah.
That was just the gap down opening. And also from the recent high that market made, Nifty was down 8%.
Yeah.
So
Good opportunity.
Yeah, that was a good opportunity. Then I thought, hey, let me invest a bit more as lump sum investments, which I did in my IFL account. So as you can see, the kind of funds that we talk about here, right? So Nifty 50 Value 20, I did a lump sum investment. So if you come down, I did some lump sum investment into Parag Parikh Flexi Cap Fund. Again, funds that we talk about here going up. I did it into Nifty Mid Cap 150 Momentum 50 Index. Again, funds that we talk about here. And then if you see here, I also invest into what I called as my favorite fund, which is Nifty Alpha 50 Index Fund. So all these were lump sums which I did on Wednesday, which is 9th. And very interestingly, on 9th, I also invested into MON 100, which is
ETF.
NASDAQ 100 ETF
Yeah.
on Wednesday.
And that is
post-
shot up by 12%.
12%. So these were timed lump sum investments which turned out interesting for me. And then the lucky SIP which just happened on Monday. But overall happy that all these investments could be done. I wouldn't say at the right time, because I still don't believe that market would only go up from
Correct.
here. Market could go down as well. But hey, as we discussed, there was a video, I think we should put up a link as well. I have a framework when market falls.
Yeah.
If I have access to funds, I will deploy seeing all of those dips as opportunities.
Yeah, that is what even my mindset was, right? So market was down 15%. So with the 5% gap down that happened on Monday, it was coming down to the same level. So I just thought of to add on. But if you ask me, would you have that fear if market would fall more? Obviously, But again, if the market would fall further, let's say another 5%, I would have added up some more funds. So that is what I think everybody should do. But again, just giving a disclaimer here, whatever Sharik has showed, everything, this is not to be considered as a financial advice. Here we are just trying to be absolutely transparent and honest with you guys where we invest and what we invest. But again, before you invest, consult your financial advisors, know and understand in detail where you're investing, where your money is going, and then take the decision.
Yeah. So I think we got the gist of investment, some lost opportunities for us. Even in the audience, some people would resonate with us and some people would definitely resonate with Sharik as well, having timed their investments very well, right? So I think that's where let's get into what happened with our trading system. So if you're looking at the last week, I think Monday was a huge gap up.
Gap down.
Gap down?
Yeah. Monday was a gap down, and that's where we very happily we only had call credit spread from
Correct.
carried from Friday. So
Yeah.
on a Friday, when we start our positional option selling strategy, we only had call sells. So when over the weekend all these bad news were around and an expected huge gap down opening
We
was
slept very peacefully.
very peaceful.
Very peacefully.
So-
US market was down 4-5%.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
didn't even.
I remember
lose a single-
Friday when
yeah.
we were leaving office, we were like, do we have put sales? No. Then we're like, good, great.
yeah.
System was intelligent enough to actually sell only calls at that moment.
Right. And on Monday, we saw the huge gap down opening and slight recovery. And over Tuesday and all, we slightly saw the markets going up. But then, hey, our risk management systems kicked in and we chose not to continue our trades aggressively over the week. And we exited peacefully with slightly over 0.5% of profits for the week. Happy, super happy for how the week was.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, and that's where, as I always say, if you also want to start trading in the same strategies that we are all trading in, using Market Feed's automated trading strategies, make sure you check out the webinar that I've added in the description and the pin comment. And there you'll be able to learn everything that you need to know, ask all the questions, and if interested, you can proceed.
Yeah, so when you mentioned this, I always wanted to add this as well, right? So someone can just download a Market Feed app and can see the trades that we actually take, the strategies that actually take, to have an understanding of how these trades are. Like you can also go back a week before and see what trades were taken on Friday and how those got exited over this week, or the trades which were taken in the weeks before. Everything that we speak here can be very transparently seen on our app as well. When and where we take the trades, then and there, those are available on the app. And if someone's interested, then they could automate it in there.
Trying to be transparent on investing
Yep.
with showing whatever we have and trying to be transparent on trading as well.
Yeah, just adding. So if people do not know, I am someone who puts out my verified P&L by the end of every year. This year also I'll be doing the same. So yeah,
People
that's
are
something which I've
watching.
been doing not for the last 1 month, 6 months. I think this is the third or the fourth year that from the time verified P&L as a technology has been available, I've been putting out my verified P&L.
Yeah, I completely agree. Sometimes it's okay to brag, and especially in crucial things like this. That's where I think we should go back into the timeline. So we discussed what is happening in the market, the timeline of events, and what happened to us in our investing and our trading journey. And now we should actually get into why is all of this shit happening, man? Right? I hope we'll censor that. But we discussed all the obvious whys in our Market Feed videos, the last podcast, as well as the video I made in this channel. The what is a tariff? What is a reciprocal tariff? Why is Trump doing all of this? Will the US benefit? What will happen to India? All of this has already been covered. But I think this is where we should discuss a few conspiracies that people are interested in and coming out as very serious allegations also. Because the first one is on insider trading. So if you're looking at what happened over the last week, whatever transpired, there is some element or some indication that a bunch of people got to know that US market is going to rally intraday. And a lot of people started taking position.
Yeah, I mean, just think about it, right? You get a positive news, the market starts rallying, and then you get a negative news, market falls, and then comes tweet by Trump. Like, this is the great time to buy. And
5 hours before the
5 hours
announcement.
before the announcement and the rally. What was the announcement? It's like, this was always planned that we are going to put tariffs and people will come to the negotiation table and then we would again maybe take a call there, and this was always the plan. And then Trump comes with this tweet and then the Nasdaq shoots up, the Dow Jones shoots up, S&P 500 shoots up. this all, when we connect the dots, it sounds like a conspiracy theory and an insider trading where someone on the other parties who are related to someone that we already know who we are addressing here is getting benefit of.
And then there are also clear data-backed signs, trails that they left. So if you see into the QQQ is nothing but the ETF that tracks Nasdaq. So if you look into QQQ options, call volume started spiking 10 minutes even before Trump's announcement.
Correct.
Something's definitely happening, right? I mean, people who have access to knowledge or who were leaked knowledge to probably taking positions. It's all coming out. A lot of people are discussing about the same.
Yeah, all is fair in love and war, and even the stock market, apparently. I was watching it, right? I was watching the situation. We were also texting each other, hey, what's happening in the US market? I tried Googling. There is no answer. So someone who was not actively watching the news, because they did not know Trump was going to come out with such an announcement, they would not even have understood what is happening.
Yeah.
They saw that market is shooting 1%, 2%, 3%, 5%, but not even understanding why. I think that was a crazy situation indeed for all the retail traders there.
Absolutely. Someone who is on the top giving a call to someone that I'm going to give this announcement in next 10-15 minutes. You go and take a long positions, and that is what only can explain why this happened.
Yeah, and just wrapping up this section of insider trading. So Trump has already been accused of it using the Donald Trump coin, right? DJT coin, and the Melania Trump crypto coins, and all the pump and dump that happened there. So it has already been raised on him multiple times. This is one of the situations which is happening. So in the parliament, body of the US, it's being heavily discussed. The MPs there are discussing it. Let's see what happens. And that's where I think we should move into the next conspiracy. Again, I think there are a lot of logics here. Just like how Sharik talked about the facts, right? The solid trails that they left behind. Even here, a lot of facts and numbers are being matched. And that is Elon Musk, Trump's very special friend, pressurizing Trump to remove the tariffs. Because if you're looking at it, when the market falls, it is not a good situation for any businessman. And especially not good for a businessman who makes a lot of his wealth from the shares that he holds in his company.
Yeah. So it is very famously known that Elon Musk has pledged a lot of his Tesla shares. So he has nearly $60 billion of worth of Tesla shares. Nearly 1/3 of that is pledged.
Okay.
Nearly $20 billion.
So
Yeah.
even when we are analyzing a company, we say that if they have a large enough, if promoters have pledged a lot of their shares, it's not a good sign.
Exactly. And that too in a situation where markets are falling so much that promoter would definitely not be in a good position. So in this place, strong articles and sources are telling that Elon Musk panicked big time and is pressurizing Trump to tell something positive so that the markets could come back up.
And Elon Musk would get a margin call.
Exactly. So in that case, let me tell you what will happen. So Elon Musk has already pledged a lot of shares to get loans. And that money he would be using for whatever. Probably he used that money to buy Twitter or whatever fund he is having. So now he has a lot of money at hand by pledging Tesla shares. Now when market is going down, Tesla share price is also coming down a lot. So the bank at which he has pledged these shares, they will ask for more and more collateral.
Correct.
Yeah.
So Elon Musk will have to either pay up a lot of money to cover his position or maybe pledge even more shares. And that is definitely not a good position to be in. And absolutely, and that is what Ajay said before, promoters hate to be in such a situation because if he is pledging more shares and the market is going down even further, he is in a soup.
A bank can take away all his shares. I
Yeah.
mean, he's a multi-billionaire, $300 billion worth of assets, majorly because of Tesla.
And losing 1/3 of his shares to a bank absolutely is not a good idea for Elon Musk.
And then moving forward, we should get into this another conspiracy, which is a $1 trillion debt theory that is coming out.
Yeah, this theory is backed by a lot of data. I had explained it in one of my videos. I'll quickly do it here as well. So there is Trump's chief economic advisor who has published a paper last year on how the US can get out of the trap it is in now. So in that he says, every year the US is paying a lot of money, even more than its military budget, into paying just the interest on the loans it owes. Just on the interest. So what is going to happen? The country is not going to have enough money to expand and grow.
And I think the debt also stands at more than 120% or something when compared to the GDP.
Yeah. And every year they're paying more than $1 trillion or 80 lakh crore rupees as interest. So while this situation is going on, the debt is going up, a lot of debt that they issued during COVID is coming up for renewal. And that
Hmm.
means they're going to have to refinance all of this debt. What is the difference between 2020 and now? Earlier, the interest rates were super low.
Yeah.
Now the interest rates are super high. So they're going to have to refinance all of this debt at a much higher interest rate. So obviously, which government, which businessman would want that? A loan that was earlier at 0.5% is going to be at 4 or 5 or 6% now. Nobody wants that. So in order to intentionally crash the US bond market, along with that, the US equity market, Trump took this intelligent move, is what the conspiracy is.
Again, I see, remember Trump tweeting about Jerome Powell also, right? So that, now that I have done my part, now it is his part that he should also consider and reduce the interest rates further, so
Yeah.
that could benefit this whole thing.
He is indicating that. So
Yeah.
what is going to happen here? If a recession does come in the US, the Federal Reserve will be forced to decrease interest rates. Otherwise, Trump cannot tell the Federal Reserve, hey, do what I say.
Yeah.
Increase interest rates. He cannot do that. So what is he doing? He's creating an artificial scenario where there is a recession, and that will lead to interest rates being cut. Again, that is just one of the conspiracies.
And again, China being China, they want to retaliate to Trump's doing. So they are just again threatening them by selling lot of US bonds, right? And that is causing some panic
Spike in the bond yields.
bond yields
Going
and-
against what Trump wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, and that's where we should discuss what is going to happen to the equity markets in the future. Hey, we have discussed a lot of things here, right? And the truth of it is there is still a lot of uncertainty. Even though the market has fallen, it has recovered, maybe even tomorrow it will recover. There is no solid concrete evidence saying that everything is fine. NASDAQ, which is the tech index in the US, had its highest single day gains since 13 October 2008. Now I tell you this fact because it is very interesting. Just 2 days after that, the market continued crashing. It was during the 2008 financial crisis. So a similar situation like 2008 could play out where there is a dead cat bounce, but then market continues falling over the next 1 month or over the next 90 days up until when the tariff is revoked.
Yeah, if you remember, still US is in trade wars with China. Then there is still tariffs still being imposed on Canada, then Mexico, and we still have to understand what are the uncertainties still not gone. It is still paused, and there is there could be further escalations that can happen. More countries can come to the negotiating table, and anything, and it can turn out in any ways. So I think when US is in trade war with China, and especially the biggest manufacturing companies like say Apple, and then there is a service company like Amazon who are much more dependent on China. I think in this trade war they won't survive, and it could cause a major fall also. We never know.
Yeah, I think this 90-day temporary pause is just a temporary relief for all the countries. But if you fundamentally look at it, a slowdown, economic slowdown in the US is maybe still on cards. Because if you see, there is a huge tariff still on China, and US does import a lot of stuff from China. So every time I refresh my phone, I see the tariff by US on China is only increasing. The latest number is 125%.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. So if you think about it, if US is importing say a phone worth of 50,000 rupees from China into the US, the tariff, that import duty on it is 62,500 rupees. So it is definitely crazy. So there could be some amount of inflation which could still happen in the US. Remember, it's Chinese tariff which is 125%, and as you rightly said, there is a 10% base tariff in all the other countries.
Correct.
So there could be some slowdown in the US, could be even when there is a 90-day temporary relief, and that slowdown could definitely hit other countries. And post this 90-day relief, who knows what is going to happen? More craziness could be on the cards, and that could make stuff even worse. We don't know that yet.
Yeah. And my favorite story out of all this markets and tariffs is that there is this story which says that Apple flew out more than 5 full planes worth of iPhones, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of iPhones from China and India to the US just before the tariff got practically implemented. So imagine that, flights full of iPhones just flying from India to the US just to escape that tariff cutoff date that Trump had given.
Isn't that also some kind of insider trading? With some information is how probably they did that. But yeah, let's not get into more conspiracies.
Yeah, even on the Instagram, right? I've been seeing these memes. Maybe in future, if this tariff war doesn't, come down, probably iPhones in India will become much cheaper, and your US friends are calling, "Hey, bro, can you just buy an iPhone and send it to us?" I think that is what the future might look like.
Yeah, definitely. It could also happen. And one of the more, again, being more serious, one of the more forward looking statements here is crude oil. Crude oil is always a very leading indicator or a very present indicator of economic activity in the world. So, if economic activity is doing really well, if economies are running really well, people will consume a lot of petrol and diesel. And when this happens, there is a lot of demand for crude oil, and hence crude oil prices will remain stable and high. But now, even with the equity markets recovering, the crude oil prices are still 15% down in this month. It is at its lowest level since early 2021. I know in India, the prices of petrol are still high because of taxes, but it's a good indicator for us to watch out for a recession in the world.
Yeah. So with all these being said, I think we should probably wind up today's podcast here. But before doing that, I really want to know how it went for all of you viewers and listeners, because I look around, I see Twitter, I see people on social media saying things have been very difficult for a lot of people. So for traders and investors separately, I know there are a mix of both these among you. So I really want to see how things were for you. So please let us know in the comment section, if you as an investor or trader, how was this week for you? Did you utilize the opportunity? Did it go against you? Really want to know what is the pulse in the community.
Yeah, and let's officially wrap up the show. So yes, this is Ajay Ajit signing off. See you all again on another episode of the Aftermarket Podcast. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.